No, I'll tell the funny story. When Carolyn came and Sue was here, and Carolyn's whole row, you do one egg at a time in the mixture, and her whole row did 4 eggs all in together. And then someone else had done it down there, and Sue and her friend were down here, and they'd done it too. So, naming and shaming, I said, hands up all those who put all the eggs in at once. And everyone, Carolyn's row put the hand up, these people put the hands up, and then I said, and Sue and Marty haven't stopped talking to even hear the questions. That's one of my stir-ups. Do you remember? You don't even remember, do you? Were you shamed, Sue?
It's seared in her soul.
Oh, dear me. So, can you just make sure the sound is okay?
It's fine, I did check, and what's more, it's recording.
Are you joking? No. You don't need all this.
I can trim the start and the end. I can't edit it in the middle, but I can trim the start and the end. So if we don't like that, we can just leave it.
We don't need that. No, I'm sure Sue doesn't needs to go on YouTube. We're being named and shamed on YouTube. Brian, when came up and tested it yesterday, and I started saying something, and he said, "Oh, you look so unanimated." And I said, "Oh, wait till there's people here, I'll be fine. I'll do my Italian bit, it'll be fine." So, Steve, would you like to welcome?
Sure.
Your normal welcoming.
Sure.
Oh, hang on, we haven't got Shay. And we haven't got Lockie. Yeah, okay.
I can still welcome people.
Yes, all right, that's fine. We can start. I don't know where she is.
Well, yeah, this is a very different Stir-Up Sunday, but a very warm welcome to you from Gordon-Pymble Uniting Church. Lovely to have you here. Lovely to have you here online, all those who are here. You got to look at that little dot there on the left-hand side. That's the camera, okay? So if you're worried about where to look, you go right down there, okay?
Okay.
Anyway, I hope you're feeling very welcomed at home. Everyone's here, so yeah, very warm welcome. We look forward to a very different but still a very warm Stir-Up Sunday. Over to Judy.
Thank you, Steve. Well, what a year it's been, and no one would ever have thought that this time last year we would have been having the year that we've had. I welcome everyone here, and I hope everyone at home is feeling okay and managing the restrictions that they're facing well enough. I certainly didn't think that we would be having the year that we've had, and I certainly wouldn't have thought that I'd be doing a YouTube presentation in my wildest dreams. I never thought that. However, we've all had to learn to adapt and adjust, and I must admit I'm absolutely overwhelmed with the response that we've had for Stir Up Sunday. I cannot believe that we're making more puddings than we've ever made. So that's really well done, and thank you everyone for the support. A special welcome to the little band we have here, friends and family who are being my audience today. They're going to be quiet, but especially because they're socially distancing, and it's going to be a very strange Stir-Up Sunday. I do have my whistle, just in case they start making a noise. One participant we have here, and she's right here on my right-hand side of my right eye, is a novice, a plum pudding maker, and I'm going to be pacing with her. So experienced pudding makers can certainly fast forward at any time, and of course you can pause the YouTube anytime you want to. So let's get started. So the first thing you have to do is take your butter, unwrap it and keep the butter paper, and cut it into 8 pieces and put it into your large mixing bowl. It doesn't have to be exact 8, it's only that it's going to make creaming it later, it's going to make it easier. Fold it over and keep it. So next, if anyone has gloves, on with the body search gloves. Because we're going to now sort the prunes. And the prunes, I must admit, are the worst things that we can do. Brian and I processed 28 kilos of prunes this year, which made 33,000 pieces of prunes. So into your small container, please empty your first lot of fruit, and it's prunes. Now the prunes are so sticky that they get all caught up together and you'll end up with a horrible big lump. So can you sort them through and separate them all? You just don't want a big lump of prunes in your pudding. The next is raisins. Now the raisins tend to be quite big. If you're sorting through the raisins, please cut up anything into a smaller shape, about the size of a sultana, but you don't have to be too fussy. What you do have to be fussy about, if there are any stalks, pull the stalks out. So raisins in, and separate them. We processed 55 kilos of raisins this year. The quantities are so immense. Be careful not to snip any of your plastic glove into the raisins. I don't think it would add to the plum pudding flavour at all, having a bit of plastic in it. Now here's a stalk I found. Take it out. You don't have to be too fussy, as long as they're not enormous, the raisins. There we go. Now I'm searching for a bit of plastic that's gone into the... Oh well. So if that's done, so now the sticky old mixed peel goes in. Mix it up. Quick stir. Then the cherries. They're the stickiest things. So Brian and I processed 14,000 pieces of cherries, and the stickiness gets everywhere. I think it's actually best to mix it up with your hands if you've got gloves or you don't mind having sticky fingers. Then the currants. And lastly, the sultanas. So mix it really, really well, and then off with the gloves. Ugh. So here it is, all nicely mixed up, which you can't even see if I can hold it there. So all well mixed so that you're not going to get a big lump of anything in the pudding. This is next, so Carolyn, it goes to mix it down like that and up, down and around, down and around, down and mix it up this way. Right, so are we all ready? We've got the basin. Yep, that's right, and give it to Rowie. Okay. Right, so now, apples, and please peel the apple, and we're going to grate it into the fruit mixture. So let's see if you can do it in one piece. Oh, look, Matilda, have you done that?
No.
Have you already done that, Matilda?
I'm not taking that challenge.
I lost the bit of my on my end. Oh, I got right to the end. There we are. That's Mr. McGee that ate that, didn't he? So you've got your grater.
Great, I must say.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Don't joke. Forgetting. Can you give that to Maureen? She'll find it easier. You find it's just easier though? No? All right, that's fine. That's all right.
Sorry.
Did you ask me to give it to Maureen or to?
Yeah, no, Maureen, no.
No, earlier on the
I just thought that they needed a bigger bowl. Yeah. Right. So then I want you to mix the apple in with the fruit, and it goes round, round, and into the centre. Round and into the centre, and we'll try and get this mixed through the the fruit. Yum. It's looking good already. I think I've got the experience of having made about 150 puddings in my life. I think it's yeah.
How old were you when you made your first pudding?
Well, that's right. Yeah. How we're old.
How old were you?
Well, I didn't start making puddings until probably when I was 40 or something. My mother gave up doing Christmas, and she taught me, and so I just took over. But I've been doing Stir-Up Sundays for 11 years, so I make quite a few for people like Steve. In fact, when I gave Steve his first one, he said, "Oh, look, thank you, but we don't eat plum pudding." But after 10 years of eating and getting them, he said he now really looks forward to them. So it's an acquired taste. Now, I want you to sprinkle your brandy in the container in front of you. Brandy over the fruit.
Not down the throat.
No, over the fruit, and then you stir it up yet again. If you're doing this at home, you could do this stage the night before you were going to steam the pudding or make the pudding, and just have it soaking overnight. But this is okay. We've proved over many years. Then we can set that aside. First stage is over. Set that aside. So it's how good it looks. Is Sue having trouble opening that? Can someone help Sue open the brandy? You having trouble? It just does slip off. Is the brandy on the fruit? Right. So the next thing we have to do is cream the sugar and the butter. So get your large mixing bowl that has the butter in it. Empty the sugar into it. Now, that one to Sue, I said to the dog. Thank you. So, I've always said every stir up that this is the way I do it. Get rid of my whistle. And it works really well because I've got a lovely fat stomach. So those with fat stomachs are at a huge advantage making plum puddings. So if you have a whiz-bang food processor or beaters or something that you at home that you'll use to cream butter and sugar, by all means go and use them. But for people, if you're gathering somewhere in someone's home and you're left with a fork, this is a good cooking fork. If you can ever find one, they're wonderful. They're really strong. This is the way we have to do it. So, on the side, and you have to, what I do is smear, just try and smear the sugar into the butter. So just get it on the side and keep smearing it. Now it's really important to have the butter at room temperature, because if it's too cold, it's going to be maybe a hell of a job to get this done. So you have to do this until no lumps of butter are showing. Food processor is so invaluable. So see what it's like now. Come around closer. Sort of getting together, but it's not nearly there. So we keep smearing, keep on the side of it. That's it. Keep going. I bet, Rowie, you think at this moment that what is that thing that you've got would be ideal?
Thermomix.
The Thermomix would be absolutely fantastic right now, yeah. Yeah.
You have it? I do too. So I'm going to convert this recipe.
I'm almost there. Just a little bit more butter to incorporate. Ah, done. So that's done, and do not go past that point. Keep on beating and beating, and then the butter melts and it starts curdling and it looks awful. So just leave it like that, it looks terrific. And just leave it and don't do anything more. Okay. Well done. I know, it's great exercise, isn't it? And if you're really naughty, take a bit to eat because it's tasty yummy. This is why I have COVID kilos on. You'll see I'm wearing an apron for the first time ever to stir up because it has to hide the COVID kilos. So Brian, I've processed, you'll be interested to know, I suppose, 46 loaves of bread into breadcrumbs. And I still haven't finished them. I've got to finish them next week. And then all the ingredients are done and we don't have a dining room. because the dining room is taking up the whole floor of all the ingredients are taking up the whole floor of the dining room. Well done, Maureen. Well done. Done, Carolyn. Rowan, are you done? Right, so I've said to get an old cup to break an egg into, so this is the time to get your eggs out. If you have a cup, if you don't have a cup, then don't worry, as long as you don't have any eggshells in the pudding mixture. And I always now, we used to have a member here called Lorna Lowe, she used to come to all the stir-ups, and she told me that if you break an egg into a rounded edged thing, whatever, cup or bowl or anything, it will never shatter into little pieces of eggshell, and you'll never get eggshell. And I never ever break an egg now without thinking of Lorna. She's long since left us. But so, one egg at a time. Now you can squish it around and break it up a bit before you tip it in. Tip it into the mixture. And it's really important not to keep beating this. You only need about no more than half a dozen beats. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No more, all right? Now Steve's wandering around watching this happening. So it's one egg at a time and no more than 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Curdles, it looks, I'm sorry to have to say this, but it just looks a bit like vomit. That's how it will look. If that happens, don't ever despair. Just put some of the dry ingredients in and it'll all come together. So it just looks bad. It won't affect the flavour or anything. Now, if you have bought the zest of a lemon and an orange, put this in the mixture now, please, and mix it up. In fact, I should have done that before the eggs, so if you're doing it at home, sorry, but it won't matter. Once again, it won't matter. So now, you right, Maureen? Have you done your 4 eggs? In with the zest, that's fine. The zest is only optional, as is the apple, but that's everything you put in makes it taste better, but it is only optional. Right, now we come to actually make the pudding. So we need your fruit, and we need your flour and your breadcrumbs. And in thirds, we're going to put the fruit, breadcrumbs and flour into the egg mixture. Okay, so a third of the fruit, a third of the breadcrumbs and a third of the flour, and then you're going to mix it up. So we do it in thirds so that it gets really well mixed up. So a third of the fruit. And it doesn't have to be exact. If it becomes half, it won't matter. And when you're stirring, stir round and into the centre, round and into the centre, round and into the centre. Now, the next lot of breadcrumbs and flour and fruit. And stir it up. And it's beginning to look like a plum pudding. So round the sides and into the centre, round and into the centre. Last lot for me. Round it into the centre. So you need to keep on stirring it until you can see none of that white flour. Go. So that's how it should look. Oh, yum. I'll go and get wipes. But licking fingers is better. So is it tasting good, that ginger? Shay? Is the ginger good? Yeah, we'll have to taste it. I want to taste it. I've added, we have a participant here who really likes ginger in her pudding, so I've, just as an experiment, chopped up some crystallised ginger. We don't know how much, so it's all going to be a bit of an experiment, but I'm looking forward to having a taste of it, liking ginger myself. I've also gave her enough pieces to eat now, so because you cannot have ginger on a table without eating it. So, are we all ready now for the stirring? I think you're looking good, Carolyn, are you? Okay. So, we need to grease the pudding basins. You've got margarine, bits of paper and margarine in front of you. Just good grease. And in front of you, you have a piece of baking paper. So you've got two for people who are making two puddings. If you've got only one pudding to make, then take the other one home and I'll tell you what to do with it. Maureen, I'm just I owe you one, Maureen. Yes, sure. I do it. So it's sad, isn't it? Because I used to always walk around with whole bunches of them for people making 2 and 3 puddings. I miss you all. So next year, hopefully next year. Here's another one for you. So, into the pudding basin. Oh, no we don't. Forgot to. More importantly than this is the most important thing. 2 important things at the end. The Christmas tradition in our family was that everyone in the household had to have a stir and a wish. So if you've got your family members here, everyone has to have a stir and a wish, and we will swap around and everyone have a wish for with their next door neighbour, so that we can do this. And Steve, if you'd like to come and stir my pudding and make a wish, I'd be grateful. Thank you. So, Carolyn, you do stir with Maureen and make a wish. Thank you. And would you like to go and stir Shay's with her as well? Thank you, and make a wish. Thank you. And that's the second most important thing. The very most important thing is to actually taste it, because I reckon it always tastes better uncooked before than when it's cooked. So have a taste, and if that's not the best thing you've ever tasted, tell me. You can go home. Isn't it good? Yeah, I know. Isn't it good? Does the ginger taste good? Yeah? Yeah. Now we can put it in the pudding bowls. On the bottom of the pudding basin, just one. It's baking paper and it'll help it not to, won't stick to the bottom. Now the pudding needs to come up to, or can't go further than about 10 centimetres from the top, from the rim, because it will expand. The eggs, and there's some bicarb soda will make it 10 millimetres. Yes, did I say 10 centimetres? That's because I'm an imperial person. So 10 millimetres. Yeah, 10 centimetres would be the whole thing. Yeah. So that's about right, like that. If, in fact, your pudding basin, it comes right to the top, fear not. what you do when you're covering it up with the alfoil is make a few pleats in the centre of the alfoil, then put it around the bowl, and that will allow a sufficient space for it to rise. So just a pleat or 2 pleats in the alfoil and it'll be fine. For those making it in tins, you don't need to do anything more other than putting your paper on the top. All right, so the paper goes on top of the pudding.
What paper do you put on top?
So it's your butter paper.
Whoa, paper.
So
It's the foil one.
no. Oh, yours is foil? Oh, I'm not quite sure about that.
I can't imagine that you can.
No, so let's just leave that, Maureen. I'll give you some buttered paper just to put on with some margarine. There we go. In fact, give Maureen mine and I'll take this one. That's fine. Thank you. Got some of my pudding. All right, now I want you to cover your bowl. The people who've got tins, you're lucky. You don't have to do anything more. You might like to cut around the edges so that it's not sticking up, but that's fine. Just snip around. You can now forget me and sit quietly. So I like to put in a double layer of alfoil. So take as much as you can to cover your basin. I've already done mine. So you cover the basin and you push down the sides. You need a piece of string that will go around the basin and a ready finger. This is a very secret ingredient, isn't it? Thank you. I always pull up the sides so they don't dangle in the water when you're steaming. And voila, it's done. I hope you're all done too. And everything's gone well. So we'll just wait for everyone to, I don't know if Steve wants to go around and have another look. I thought I might just have the bowl while we're waiting. It's so good. So while we're just finishing up, I'll talk to you about steaming the puddings. You need to put them in a saucepan big enough to hold this and have water around your pudding. I always fill the saucepan up with about to halfway up the pudding bowl and keep an eye on your water levels, so fill it up when necessary. You can cook the puddings for 6 hours and they're cooked and they're okay to eat. But if you want the best pudding that you've ever tasted, please cook 5 hours on one day and 5 hours the next day. What I do is to cook it for 5 hours, steam it for 5 hours, just leave it in the water and then turn it on again the next day. It doesn't have to go in the fridge because after the first 5 hours the eggs are cooked and it's okay to leave perhaps overnight. If it was really, really hot, maybe not, but normally I just leave it, cook it, steam it the next day, and it comes out. It's a really, really nice pudding. That's the secret. We had one really good cook on a stir up and she said, I'm not going to do that, 6 hours will be enough. And then one year she was persuaded to do the 10 hours and she's never done it any other way. She said it's the best pudding, the best way of making a pudding. If you don't have time to steam the pudding tonight or whenever you're doing it and you don't have time, you don't have the 6 hours to be at home, don't worry. Just put it in the fridge. It's got fresh eggs in it, so it needs to be refrigerated. When you have time to cook it, don't leave it too long, but 2 or 3 days will be okay. Pull it out, get it to room temperature, and then do your steaming. So we now have the blessing of the pudding, and Steve's going to come and do his traditional blessing. And last year we had us holding up the puddings, and it was really nice. So hold them up, and we're going to bless them.
That's right. So this is a bit of fun, but also we are mindful that cooking is something that we do together as families. We share it with our friends, so it's a real part of community, and we think God is part of community. So here's our blessing. Lord God of the pudding, as different ingredients have come together in the making of these creations, so may our family Christmas gatherings be a happy blend of different personalities. As the puddings are created to be given and consumed, may we learn that our lives are most tasty when they are given away in love and care to those around us. And as these puddings go to different homes in a variety of places, may each one carry the love, grace and peace that Christ came to bring the world. In his name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Steve.
And that's the secret ingredient. That really transforms a regular pudding into...
Absolutely.
That's right.
That blessing has gone with puddings all around the world. It's been wrapped up. The puddings have been wrapped up and sent around the world in the packs that ingredient packs. You're being given a copy of it. Please use it when you're perhaps in your family celebrations or when you make your pudding. So that's the end of the demonstration as such, but we always have extra. And we always mould a pudding, so I can show people who haven't ever done one before how that's done. We'd like to create the really best things that we can do. I can give you as many hints, and I've got some hints to go on afterwards. So this has been wrapped up in a towel for a couple of hours, and it's still really hot, so that's it. So that's thing. Now, sorry, my plate. Sorry. So these things are really good if you're as old as I am. You would have been given these as a kitchen tea present. They're sort of bendy spatulas. This is actually one that Kim made last year for me for Stir Up Sunday. So go around the sides like this, loosen the sides. Oh, well, I'll do it the other way. Put the plate over it. Voila! So we normally eat a pudding this size for a stir-up Sunday, there's only 15 of us here today. We cannot manage 15 pieces, so I have another one, so we will cut that up later. Just before we go though, I have some hints that I really would like to tell you because they'll make life a bit easier. First of all, when you're steaming the pudding, you do not want to boil it dry. Everyone does it, I've done it, but you really don't want to do it because it spoils the pudding. You can, if you do boil it dry, it'll burn on the bottom. You can scrape the bottom off, but it's never as nice. So just don't burn it. I now put a clock on every hour and I just check the water level. But there's a little secret that I've also developed, that if you put this in the bottom of your steamer, it's an upturned saucer, rest the pudding basin on that. If you do happen to boil dry or just before it boils dry, it's not going to be it's not going to burn as quite so much. So a saucer, upturned saucer. Handling a hot pudding in and out of boiling water is really dangerous. Really, you can burn yourself, and it's a dangerous thing to do. So we can make a sling. And what you do is to get a piece of alfoil, I won't pull it out, as long as your arm, just as long as this, and you fold it into numerous pieces and it makes a sling. So it's about six times, so it's quite strong. And you can use this to lift and lower the pudding into the water. Now, don't reuse it because in 10 hours of boiling, it seems to weaken the alfoil, and I've had some sort of disasters. This is the things that I know. So just one per pudding. Right, but that's a sling. If you want to use a slow cooker, they are fantastic because you can leave them on and they're never going to boil dry, but you need to know your slow cooker. So when the first time you use it, please just keep checking the water. When I'm using it, I always put hot water in the slow cooker and I put it on for at least another hour. It just doesn't get, my slow cooker just doesn't get enough heat to do it in 5 hours, so I prefer to do it a little bit longer. Now, for a perfect presentation, what I do is after the 2 lots of cooking of my pudding, while it's still warm, this is long before Christmas Day, while it's still warm, I get my spatula thing out and or a knife, go around, take it out of the pudding basin. I then wash the pudding basin, grease it again, put another piece of baking paper on the base of it, put it back in, put the top on, another top, butter paper if you have it, put in the fridge. Then on the day of serving, I pull it out, make sure it comes to room temperature. So you could pull it out the night before, that's fine, it's not going to spoil overnight. Steam it for 3 or 4 hours and then take it out and serve it. It will come out as easily as this and it will look perfect because it just is easier once it hasn't been in the bowl that it's been cooked in. That's the best way of doing it, and you will get all these accolades and everyone go, oh, how wonderful. That's fine. So that's for perfect presentation. Take it out and wash the basin and put it back in again. If you need to serve, would you like to serve brandy? The trick is to slightly warm the brandy. If you pour cold brandy over it, it won't lie. Just slightly warm it, over it, virtually throw a match, warm. If you want to keep it warm, if you're going out and you need to take the pudding and you don't have the facilities to steam it in someone's kitchen and they don't want you in the kitchen, you can make it, steam it 3 and 4 hours before you go, wrap it in a beach towel. It works really, keeps it warm for 3 or 4 hours. You can also use an esky with a hot water bottle. It's fantastic, it'll stay warm in that. Or if you're at home, you can put it just in, leave it in the hot water on the stove. But it staves all that steam going on on Christmas Day when you don't, you've got a roast in and it's too hot. And so they're little tricks. So I think that's all I can say now. I think we've done everything. Maureen, yes.
Sorry, this is a nice question. Do I leave it in the tin for 9 months or 9 weeks or whatever? Or do I take it out and wrap it in something else?
No, it can remain in the tin for 9 weeks, that's fine. I wouldn't leave it in a tin for a year. I think it could oxidise. So if you wanted to, I would take it out of the tin, wrap it in Glad wrap, and then in our foil, and leave it in the fridge. I can leave, this one's been in the fridge for a year, so I have served puddings that have been in the fridge, not the freezer, the fridge, for 2 years. So that's fine. The other thing that I do with the leftovers is that Brian loves plum puddings, and so any leftovers I cut into serving sizes, wrap them in our foil, freeze them, and then in winter just bring them out, thaw them, and just pop them in the oven for, warm oven for a quarter of an hour, and serve them. So that's a good way of using. But I reckon there's not going to be much leftovers, from these puddings. So to all those at home who've been watching, I hope this has been an okay presentation and that you've enjoyed yourself and have had some fun making the puddings. I do hope next year that I'm going to see you in person. I just hope that we're not going to have a whole another year of this. I want to say thank you to Steve for being our photographer and for being him and always being around and being so supportive of and his finger, and being so supportive of Stir Up Sundays. And I thank Brian, who is my right-hand man at all times and so dependable that I couldn't do anything like this without him. So farewell everyone, and a happy Christmas to you all. Oh, I did actually write this. And blessings on you all as you prepare for your Christmas gatherings in whatever form they may take this year. I look forward to seeing you again next year.